Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. It's your man here, the unique coin guy, with one of my 1955 Denvers. Uh, I don't know what I'm looking for or what I'm supposed to be seeing, but I'm making this one right here. And I have a few more. I already went through these, but I might run them back again. I haven't looked at these ones here yet, but this is the first one.
A security camera and a physics calculation showed what really led to a young woman's death. Highway patrolman Tony Snyder was heading home after finishing his night shift when he got a call about a traffic accident on Route 95 just outside of Princeton, Minnesota.
It was maybe 10 miles from my house. So I said I would do it.
When Snyder arrived, he saw that there had been a two-vehicle accident. Apparently, a Jeep collided with an abandoned car that had broken down and was parked on the side of the highway.
When I was met by the deputy, he informed me that one person is deceased, the female passenger in the red Jeep. And the other vehicle that was struck was unoccupied. I could see the ambulance personnel working on a male who was covered in blood, and he was screaming.
The Jeep driver, Steve Hollerman, was rushed to a nearby hospital. Steve's passenger, his 41-year-old wife, Deborah, was dead.
Everybody knew it. I mean, she was that well loved. It was just disbelief and shock.
If you got to know Deb, you liked Deb. She was the life of the party. She was somebody that people gathered around because she was fun to be with.
Steve Hollerman survived the crash with only minor injuries. Toxicology tests revealed no drugs or alcohol in his system. He told investigators that he and Deborah were on their way home from shopping when he inadvertently drove off the highway and struck a parked car.
I said, "You remember what you hit?" He said, "Yeah, I hit a car." I said, "Do you know where the car was?" He said, "Yes, it was on the shoulder." I said, "Did you see the car when you hit it?" I said, "Yeah, I saw the taillights."
Steve's Jeep hit the back left side of the parked car. Steve said he was driving approximately 60 miles an hour at the time of the accident, and he was wearing his seatbelt, but Deborah was not.
That was out of her character. She was.
Had been jolted violently inside her skull from
Second,
side to side.
1955, no mint mark.
The pathologist that did the autopsy was that the death was a result of a motor vehicle accident. The blunt force trauma and the injuries that were observed, the skull fracture, the bruising of the brain, any of those could have been consistent and would have been consistent with being killed in a motor vehicle crash.
Although patrolman Tony Snyder wasn't a doctor or formally trained in forensic science, he couldn't believe the coroner's report.
I was sick to my stomach when I heard those words come out of his mouth because I thought I was at a dead end now. I was not comfortable with it at all. But to be honest with you, I was tore up inside. I couldn't even sleep at night.
Snyder was bothered because this accident didn't seem bad enough to have caused a fatality, as he had seen in so many other accidents.
I've been to accidents like that where people actually their head went clean through the windshield, and they're speaking to me when I get there. And this windshield wasn't broke out. It was barely cracked.
And Snyder thought the amount of blood in the car was inconsistent with Deborah's injuries.
There was a lot of blood in the vehicle. More blood than I've ever seen in any accident in my life. I've been to hundreds of accidents.
But so had local traffic investigators, and they disagreed with Snyder. They came to the same conclusion as the coroner, that the car crash was an accident. Tony Snyder's options were dwindling until an anonymous telephone call shed new light on an already mysterious case.
I want to use my voice for things that matter, like menopause. Women deserve to miss the number and severity.
This is the third, 1955. Second one without a mint mark.
So enjoy the celebrations, own the room, and be in the moment. It's fewer hot flashes. Don't use Linqued if you're pregnant, as it can cause loss of pregnancy. Tell your doctor if you have liver problems, a history of seizures, are pregnant, or planning to become pregnant. It can cause serious side effects like central nervous system effects and daytime impairment, like difficulty staying awake, fatigue, a spinning feeling, dizziness, or feeling faint. Don't drive or do hazardous activities until
Oh, with an L.I.
blood test values may occur. Your doctor will check
That's like another B, almost.
Risk of seizures in people with a history of seizures. Seek medical help for loss of consciousness or
Wow. Then this 55 here, all the chain. You can't even see in.
These aren't all the possible side effects.
You barely see God.
So don't let hot flashes stop you. For moderate to severe
We
hot flashes, why sweat?
trust
Linqued it. Ask her for
all
Linqued.
When I heard her say she has osteoporosis, I thought the last thing I want is to sit around all day, like someone I know. Turns out, I got far from it.
If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, Evenity can help you rapidly build new bone in just 12 months. Evenity is the only bone builder that also helps slow bone loss, and it significantly reduces spine fracture risk.
I heard she was taking Evenity, but then she said it builds new bone. Builds new bone! So yeah, we work, we wander, and we're worthy of it all.
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a heart problem. Tell your doctor if you have had a heart attack or stroke. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it, as serious events have occurred with Evenity. Signs include rash, hives, swelling of the face or throat, which may cause difficulty in swallowing or breathing, muscle spasms or cramps, numbness, or tingling. Tell your doctor about severe jawbone problems, as they have been reported with Evenity. Report hip, groin, or thigh pain. Unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred with Evenity. Ask your doctor about Evenity.
There's DNA. Then there's heavy-duty DNA. HDNA. It's engineered into every aspect of the GMC Sierra HD. So when the job is heavy, GMC Sierra HD reports for duty. During GMC Truck Month, get 4.9% APR plus $2,000 purchase cash on 2026 GMC Sierra heavy-duty Denali.
Remember? Drown.
Here's number 4, third one, no mint mark.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBerry.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Deborah Hollerman's family was angry with police when they learned some of the details surrounding the car crash that took her life.
How can there be a car on the side of the road for a couple of days? I mean, isn't it somebody's responsibility to take a car off of a state highway?
Highway Patrolman Tony Snyder was less concerned about the abandoned car and more concerned with Steve Hollerman's driving skills. He was convinced there was more to the story than Steve was telling.
I asked him if a deer jumped out, if he was playing with his radio knobs, if he was on the cell phone. I asked him if he passed out, blacked out, was dizzy, fell asleep.
Snyder checked Steve's story by reviewing the videos taken by the store's security cameras. They showed the Hollermans at the store that night, but they left several hours earlier than Steve claimed.
The last store he left was around 7:30 p.m. And I got a call to come to the crash at 10 p.m. So there's quite a bit of time missing to drive 18 or 20 miles.
In addition, the items the Hollermans bought at the store weren't in the Jeep at the time of the accident. So where were the Hollermans between 8 and 10 p.m.? An anonymous telephone call gave Tony Snyder a clue.
There was no name, no way to get a hold of anybody, but just so you know, somebody called and said Steve Hollerman's been having an affair.
Well, that piqued our interest even more to say, geez, there's some more pieces to this that we're unfamiliar with and that we want to look into.
Surprisingly, Deborah's friends all knew about the affair. And apparently, so did Deborah.
She was aware there was an affair going on, and she was going to confront him. That was made clear. Her girlfriends have told us that.
Investigators eventually discovered the identity of Steve's girlfriend. She was employed by the local hospital where Steve worked as a lab supervisor.
They were in love with each other.
And this is
Went on outings together.
the 5th one,
And she admitted
second one with the Denver Mint.
The cabin was the Hollerman summer home at Green Lake. It was just a mile and a half from the crash site. With a warrant, investigators investigators searched the cabin and found evidence confirming the story they'd heard from Steve's girlfriend.
You could see a bed where it looked like it had been recently slept in or used in some way.
And they also discovered that Steve and Deborah had been in the cabin before the car crash. Several items they had purchased that night were in the cabin, so Snyder decided to take a closer look at the Holloman's Jeep, as well as the accident scene. Steve said he was driving 60 miles an hour when the accident occurred. Accident reconstruction experts have a way of confirming this. If a parked car is hit, the distance it moves after impact can tell you the speed at which it was hit. It's based on Sir Isaac Newton's laws of physics, specifically conservation of momentum. When one object strikes another, as in this demonstration, its momentum is transferred to the other. All things being equal, the speed of the first ball is equal to that of the last. The weight of the two cars, plus the friction between the tires and the road surface, factor into the analysis.
The coefficient of friction is basically just a measure of how slippery that surface is. So that's a very important piece. The other thing is the angles that are involved with approach and departure from the impact area for vehicles that are involved in a collision like this.
Scotland used surveying